The political world is remembering the life and career of former Secretary of State George Schultz. Schultz died at the age of 100. This happened over the weekend in California. His career included leading roles in diplomacy, business, and academia. Schultz spent most of the 1980s trying to improve Cold War relations with the Soviet Union and working for peace in the Middle East.
Joining us now to discuss is Doug Wead, presidential historian, former advisor to President George H.W. Bush, and author of Inside Trump's White House. Also, Craig Shirley, Reagan biographer, presidential historian. And we want to bring back in our panel, Joe DeGeneva and Victoria Tunzing as well. Now, let's talk about this. The man who helped contain communism played such an important role.
Doug Wead, your thoughts on George Schultz, the life of George Schultz?
Well, he's a great man, and he was very effective because he had a team of people who were loyal to him. And when he came into a department, he brought his team with him. He was the adult in the room. But the New York Times, in their articles about George Schultz, are portraying Reagan as a wild man, saying that George Schultz won the Cold War. That is not true. Schultz was very irritated by Reagan and by William Casey. William Casey actually sent me on a mission. My best friend went behind the Iron Curtain at the risk of his own life at the height of the Cold War to talk with Lech Walesa, who was under house arrest. There was Soviet intel all over the streets of Gdansk and Polish army and Polish police. He came out of Poland with a speech to the Polish people, and Reagan and Casey put that speech on Radio Free America so that Lech Walesa from prison in Poland spoke to the Polish nation. It drove George Schultz up the wall. He was afraid of the Soviet Union. So yes, he's a great man. We're going to miss him. There are no adults like him in Joe Biden's cabinet. But no, he did not win the Cold War. Ronald Reagan won the Cold War.
And Joe and Victoria, I'll bring you into this as well. You know, we talked a bit about the relationship between Reagan and Schultz, and Reagan's birthday was this past Saturday, and it's just interesting timing sometimes when that works out. But during the current political climate, how do you think the message to the American people would be from Reagan, his politics then and today?
Well, this is you can't really do that. This is a different America. From our earlier segments, we know that we are grabbing from college people who are very, very far to the left because the academy in this country has been taken over by the left. We are not educating people. They don't understand. The government is at risk. People like George Schultz were important to keep it together. And you look at Biden's agglutination, it's a pretty unimpressive bunch.
I want to tell you a great George Schultz story. He brought a newly sworn-in U.S. ambassador to his office, and he pointed to the globe. Now tell me which country you represent. And there's the ambassador trying to find out. And Schultz says, no, you represent the United States.
Well, those stories, that's what you want to be remembered for. It's those memories that you have. When you move on for something as hard as that is to accept of someone passing on. And this does create shockwaves, if you will, through the political realm. And I understand you're saying it can't really be applied today because we are in a different political climate. But Craig Shirley, is there anyone like him? Is there anyone pushing that battle today?
Alive today? No, there's not.
Not that I can see.
This is the passing of an era. These were bipartisan men. These were what used to serve both Franklin D. Roosevelt and Ronald Reagan. These are people, men and women of great character and great commitment. Or everybody from George Kennan on, who saw their job and their errand and their mission as to negotiate what was best for the United States, but to understand that there were other countries of the world and they had needs too.
Doug, do you think Democrats will see Schultz's death as a roadblock that's been lifted perhaps now at this point?
Boy, that's an interesting thought. I mean, Rachel, you can compare Schultz, for example, in the Nixon era. Nixon tried to get him to go after conservatives when he was Secretary of Treasury using the IRS. And Obama did it with Lois Lerner. He weaponized it. So I see, and Tony Blinken has already publicly spoken out in favor of Andrew McCabe, who may even actually go to prison. I see Biden's cabinet very much weaponized for political attack. I agree with Joe. This is a different era, sadly. So we're going to miss statesmen like George Schultz, no question.
Let's leave it right there on the topic of Schultz. Doug Wead, Craig Shirley, thank you so much for your time and sharing that. It's very important that we do so and pay tribute.
My friends are calling me all the time and writing me and saying, you've disappeared from television. We can't find you. We don't see you anymore. This is the only way we've figured out how to beat the censors. If you subscribe to this channel, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell, you'll get notification when I'm on TV. Otherwise, you won't get my Instagrams, my messages on Facebook. It's censorship. So I want to hear from you. I want you to be able to hear from me.